I have been married to Ronald Fields II for 13 and a half years. We are home educators of 4 wonderful children. I have 2 girls, 22 and 3, and 2 boys, 12 and 9. My husband and I are both born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I spent 33 years there before I came to move to Chicago, Illinois, 7.5 years ago to expand our evangelistic work. We serve as the overseers and pastors of our Report Ministries and Publication in Chicago. I am also the founder of Christian Home Educator, which is a homeschool academy, and Christian Home Support System, which is our support group. These are evangelistic outreach ministries to serve and support the families of the city of Chicago and surrounding communities. We provide assistance, resources about home education, cooperative educational and recreational resources, curriculum and parental rights issues, and much more. Our mission is to empower parents to take back the responsibility of educating.
Clip 1. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Stories, where truth doesn't whisper, it roars. Today's spotlight is on a moment the mainstream media won't show you. A Chicago pastor, calm yet commanding, took the floor and dismantled Ilhan Omar's narrative on poverty, faith, and dependency. With a single word, responsibility, her message flipped the script, proving that real change comes from accountability, not handouts or blame. While Omar spoke of victimhood, this pastor spoke from experience. Faith-tested, battle-worn, and unshakably strong. Her testimony didn't just challenge the room, it transformed it, reminding everyone that courage and conviction still move hearts in ways politics never can.
I am also the state coordinator of parentalrights.org, a volunteer of Junior Achievement of Chicago, and a member of Cure Clergy Network. I also have over 19 years of entrepreneurial experience, with 14 of those years being consecrated in the real estate industry and several certifications in property management and nonprofit housing. I am also a recent graduate of Trinity Christian College in Palo Heights, Illinois, with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a 4.0 GPA. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey, which is nothing short of the grace of God towards me. My grandmother, who raised me, also raised 9 kids of her own, was a homeowner living in a poor Black drug-infested community in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She raised me and my younger sister. My mom was a teenage mom on drugs and
Her name is Fields, a woman who entered Congress not as a politician, but as living proof that faith, hard work, and personal accountability build stronger communities than any government check ever could. With steady confidence, she introduced herself as a wife, a mother of 4, and a home educator fighting for Chicago's families. Every word carried quiet strength, the kind Ilhan Omar's scripted outrage couldn't match. While Omar speaks in theories, Fields speaks from experience, leading through education, housing, and community action. Her message was unmistakable. True progress isn't born from dependency or politics, but from discipline, purpose, and the courage to act without waiting for permission.
My grandmother was a strong woman, hardworking woman. She showed tough love and had amazing independent work ethics. So I basically grew up in the typical Black stigma community surrounding me. The lack of motivation for education, promiscuous behavior, drugs, crime, and some on welfare. In spite of the circumstances that surrounded my childhood, I was one that often fought against the odds. I had a love for education. I never did drugs and I never committed a crime. But however, I did fall into promiscuous behavior. And at the age of 17, I became a teenage mom. This was the turning point of my life. I will never forget the day that I found that I was pregnant. I went into a Planned Parenthood in my neighborhood. I was devastated, I was frightened, and I was scared.
Wasn't born into privilege. Raised in Louisiana by her grandmother, a strong, hard-working woman battling through a neighborhood scarred by drugs and despair, Ilhan Omar often romanticizes as the cycle of oppression. But she didn't lean on excuses or politics. She pushed back with no safety net and no shortcuts. She clung to faith, grit, and discipline to carve her own path. While Omar blamed systems, Fields took ownership of her choices and rose above circumstance. Her life stands as living proof that resilience and responsibility can overcome hardship. A direct challenge to the dependency narrative that so often dominates the conversation.
Because I was one of those kids that excelled in school, was popular in school, played sports, was on the homecoming court. You name it, I was in it. So basically, I kept myself from the normalized behaviors that plagued the Black community. So becoming pregnant was embarrassing to me. I didn't want to be like the rest. I had always strived to be better. I didn't want to be like the social norm. I didn't want to be another statistic. I didn't want to be the 72% of moms raising a child single. So So while waiting for the results of my pregnancy test, I was crying and I was thinking how I had ruined my life.
Came the moment that would shape her entire life. At 17, scared and pregnant, she stood inside a Planned Parenthood clinic, offered what many would call an easy escape. But her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. You make your bed hard, you lie in it. In that instant, she chose the harder road. Life, responsibility, and courage over regret and surrender. While Ilhan Omar's politics often trade in blame and victimhood, this pastor shattered that narrative with action. She raised her child, finished her education, and built a future without asking for rescue. Her story stands as proof that conviction and accountability can accomplish what politics never can, turning struggle into strength and hardship into hope.
First came back in the room and she told me that I was 3 weeks pregnant, and she consoled me that I had another choice. I had a choice to abort my baby. In that very moment, my life flashed before my eyes because I had a big decision to make. Do I get rid of my baby and proceed as normal, as though nothing happened, and go back to my family and friends and continue to live out my life? Or do I live the rest of my life knowing I had killed my baby? Do I keep my baby and face the challenges that lie ahead of me and press past the shame, the regret, and the disappointment? I chose to.
18, she had already achieved what most only dream of, a home of her own. Think about that. A teenage mother raised in a broken community, owning a house before many politicians, including Ilhan Omar, had ever paid a real bill. She juggled long shifts at Burger King with late nights studying, never trading her pride for pity. And when she briefly turned to food stamps, the experience didn't comfort her. It ignited her. 2 years later, she walked away from it all, vowing never again to let the system define her or her family. In that choice, she embodied the kind of strength Omar overlooks, the unshakable power of people who rise, build, and thrive without waiting for permission.
I chose to do what I will always hear my grandmother say. You make your bed hard, you lie in it. Those words rang loud and clear in my heart and mind. Yes, we did this. No one else is responsible for the choice we made. I must take responsibility for my actions and live with it. Live the best possible life I can. Give my child the best possible life I can. Finish high school, go to college, and make something of myself. I decided, in spite of my teenage pregnancy, that I will continue to press past the popularized social norms of the Black community. I worked hard. I graduated from high school 5 months pregnant. During my teenage years, I worked at Burger King.
Her story didn't stop at survival. It evolved into triumph. From flipping burgers to closing real estate deals, from secretary to licensed agent, she climbed every rung through sheer will and unwavering grit to be why her mid-20s. She wasn't just raising a child. She was earning degrees, inspiring others, and proving that self-reliance isn't a slogan. It's a lifestyle. Then, in 2004, faith changed everything. She gave her life to Christ, married a man who shared her purpose, and together they began mentoring families not through government aid or dependency, but through empowerment and personal investment. While Ilhan Omar preaches redistribution, this family lives restoration, changing lives one classroom, one soul, and one home at a time.
I was a part of an entrepreneurial program that we had. I worked there throughout my high school years from 15 till I graduated, but I was a mom, so I had to continue working at Burger King to provide for myself and my baby. I lived with my grandmother for several months after I had her, and she encouraged me to get on food stamps, to receive WIC, and to receive child care assistance. During this time, she also helped me to get my first apartment. After about 9 months of renting, the real estate company asked me, did I want to buy a house? I was shocked. I was excited. I went through the first-time home buyers.
In 2006, she took another fearless leap, pulling her daughter from public school to teach her at home. What began as one mother's act of conviction soon grew into a thriving homeschool academy, helping families reclaim their children's hearts and minds from institutions that had long failed them. Every choice she made became a quiet rebuke to Ilhan Omar's sermons about government rescue. While Omar preached intervention, Fields lived independence, proving that parents, not politicians, are the true architects of a child's future. This wasn't just a difference of opinion. It was a collision of worlds, ideology versus reality, speeches versus scars, dependency versus destiny. And through it all, Fields stood as living proof that real transformation is built not on policy, but on perseverance, purpose, and the courage to lead from the front.
Purchased a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house at 18 years old. After 2 years of being on food stamps, I found myself increasingly growing to hate the program. I felt awful while I was on the program. It was such a level of disrespect and deprivation. I couldn't take it any longer. I removed myself from the food stamp program, but however, due to me working and going to college, I had to remain on child care assistance. After having my baby in 1996, buying my home in 1997, the same real estate company offered me a job. I became a secretary, later a rental assistant manager, and later in December 2005, I became a licensed real estate.
At just 18 years old, she did the unthinkable. She bought her first home, a modest 3-bedroom, 1-bath house that stood as a monument to determination over despair. For 2 years, she had relied on food stamps, but instead of gratitude, the experience filled her with quiet resentment. It was degrading, she would later recall. It stripped away dignity. Refusing to let a system define her worth, she walked away from it entirely, even as she juggled work and college while raising her baby. In 1997, the same real estate company that once sold her the home saw something special and offered her a job. She started as a secretary, rose to assistant manager. And by December 2005, less than a decade later, she was a licensed real estate agent, living proof that perseverance, not pity, paves the path to success.
Took her out of the public education in the 4th grade, and I wanted to give her a Christian education by homeschooling her. So we did. My husband and I did not know what that would entail, but we obeyed God. Later, in 2007, we opened up a Christian homeschool academy as an extension of our evangelistic work. My husband and I are now homeowners in Chicago, Illinois for the last 3 years. My husband is the owner of his own barbershop in the South Shore community in Chicago for the last 5 years, and we are continuing our ministerial work with our Christian school and our co-op group to support the families in the city of Chicago.
And that's exactly why her testimony shook the halls of Congress in a way no chart, soundbite, or scripted speech ever could. She didn't come armed with talking points or theatrics, just truth lived and proven. While Ilhan Omar lectures the nation about its flaws, this pastor has spent years repairing what's broken, transforming a drug-ravaged neighborhood into a living monument of faith, discipline, and hope. In just 6 minutes, she silenced cynics and reminded America that the dream isn't granted by politicians or programs. It's earned through family, faith, and fierce responsibility. Her words didn't just inspire, they exposed a truth too powerful to ignore, that the real revolution begins within.